Not many players in the world can say they signed a major brand deal with arguably the biggest brand when they were only 13 years old. But Neymar Jr. definitely can. And for over 15 years, Neymar and Nike had a great business relationship. Neymar became a worldwide football sensation at the same level as Messi and Ronaldo. It helped Nike grow even bigger in the football industry. They featured him in many marketing campaigns, and he was even chosen as the first player to introduce the Jordan brand to football. So it came as a big shock to all of us when Neymar announced he was leaving Nike in September of 2020 to join another one of their biggest rivals, Puma. So why would he decide to leave Nike after they had invested so much in him when he wasn't such a big star? Why would Nike let him go so easily? And he wasn't the only one. More and more players started leaving Nike. What the hell was happening? Is there something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about? Or are these players just not doing it for Nike anymore? We're gonna find out. To answer these questions, we have to look at how the business of sports marketing works between the players and the brands. The cycle is quite simple. Big sports brands have loads of cash, and superstar athletes have loads of fans who love them so much that they're willing to take their sweaty, smelly shirts after games, and probably never even wash them. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. The big sports brands sponsor these athletes so that they wear their products on and off the field to influence their fans into buying from that particular brand. This then puts more money into the company's pockets to sponsor even more players, and the cycle goes on and on. It's two golden gooses feeding each other so they can continue laying more eggs. A simple marketing tactic used by many brands around the world. It's the reason you see athletes who are supposed to be the epitome of health and wellness in adverts for junk food and soda. Yes, even Messi and Ronaldo. It just works. By the way, check out our video about the worst footballer advertisements. You'll be surprised. In football, the biggest players are spread across 5 major leagues: the Premier League, Bundesliga, Ligue 1, La Liga, and Serie A. More people watch these leagues than all other leagues combined. So, sports brands pour a lot of money into these teams and players, sponsoring their jerseys, boots, and much, much more. Throughout the years, Nike has become the biggest brand in football. But this wasn't always the case. Adidas and Puma used to be the biggest. What started as a feud between two brothers in Nazi Germany became a huge spitting contest on who could outsmart the other in the business. I'll definitely be making a video about them. This fierce competition led Adidas and Puma to try and sign as many big players as possible, which gave them a huge boost to becoming the biggest brands in football. But as these two giants were fighting, Nike swooped in and stole the European market in only a few years. In the 90s, they made deals with some of the biggest players in the game. They actually signed the entire Brazilian team in 1996. When that team went on to win the World Cup in 2002, that exploded Nike's exposure even more. But even with all of this, Nike was still far behind Adidas and Puma, so they had to do something, and quick. If they were going to win, they had to come up with a different strategy. The main strategy at the time for sports brands was to sign the biggest players with the most brand awareness. Nike decided to take a different route. If they couldn't get the best, then they would get the rest. You know what they say, if you can't beat them, pay everyone else millions of dollars to join you instead of them, and eventually they will fall behind. No one says that, of course. I made it up, but you get the point. Nike focused on quantity more than quality. They figured if so many players had the logo on their boots and shirts, their brand visibility would skyrocket, and so would their sales. And they were right. Soon enough, they became the biggest brand in football, and it had a massive snowball effect. As they were trying to sign as many players as they could, they ended up signing players before anyone had really even heard of them. One of these players who was snapped up early on was a Portuguese player you may have heard of. His name is Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano became the face of Nike because Cristiano is always the face of everything, whatever he does. So when Nike signed Neymar, he was supposed to become the next Ronaldo for them. So the question is, why would Nike let their next Ronaldo get away? Well, if you know anything about Neymar, then you know that being the next Ronaldo, or the next anybody, is just not his thing. Neymar likes to be the center of attention. But unfortunately for him, at Nike, Neymar would always be in Cristiano's shadow, and he just wasn't able to handle that. But that's not all. Another quite obvious reason is money, of course. Neymar asked for more money, but Nike said, "We have the money, but we don't think you're really worth it." This really hit his ego hard, and he decided, fuck this, I'm going to become the star somewhere else. Somewhere where they will see me as the golden boy I am. And at this time, Ronaldo was signed by Nike and Messi was signed by Adidas. So where else could he go? Puma. That's the place where Neymar could shine without anyone's shadow casting over him. It looks like Nike just didn't see keeping Neymar as a good financial decision. To make things worse, when Neymar left, he actually still had about 2 years left on his contract. So that means they really didn't try. When Neymar told them he was walking out the door, they probably opened it up for him and told him to just do it. One other reason Nike didn't fight to keep Neymar is that they just have way more options now. They have much younger players like Marcus Rashford and Kylian Mbappe, who serve the same purpose as Neymar. Yes, they could probably pay the money to keep all of them, but it looks like Nike is setting aside their quantity over quality approach and are a bit more conservative with their spending nowadays. But Neymar isn't the only player to leave Nike these last few years. Other very big names like Raheem Sterling, Robert Lewandowski, Sergio Ramos and Zlatan Ibrahimovic have all left Nike. So what's really happening behind closed doors? Well, the answer isn't that interesting, but you've probably seen it coming. Budget cuts. Ever since the pandemic hit us in 2020, a lot of companies have had to hold back their purse a little. A lot of major events that year were cancelled with the uncertainty of when or if they would be back. So Nike had to spend wisely, and that strategy ended up being the right one. Especially with the signing of a player like Erling Haaland, who they were able to sign when he was still a rising star at Dortmund. Now that Erling Haaland has moved to Man City and is dominating the league, I'm pretty sure they had a good return on investment. But his contract with Nike has expired and he has yet to sign a new deal. But I'm pretty sure Nike is going to offer him one of the biggest deals we've ever seen in football. Haaland is the perfect example of Nike's new strategy. They're trying to sign mid-league players with massive potential so they can really capitalize on it when they end up being the next Ronaldo. And they're looking to move away from players like Zlatan and Neymar, who are very expensive and don't have many years left on the field. And you know what they say, when your oldest plant is dying, you don't pour more water on it. Start watering the younger ones because they will make you much more money next season. Once again, no one says that, but you get the point.